It's almost dark. You're pushing through grass taller than you are, and you stop, because something else stopped when you did. Two eyes catch the last of the light, low to the ground, not blinking. It's a cat the size of a small car, and it has hunted things like you for 1,000,000 years. You have no claws, no fangs. Your teeth are flat. Your nails are useless. You can't outrun it. You can't outclimb it. You can't fight it. And this isn't some rare, unlucky night. For almost the entire time humans have existed, this was simply the world. Something, somewhere, was always waiting for you to slip. You were not the hunter. You were the meat. Generation after generation, that was the deal. So here's the strange part. That cat is gone now. Extinct. And you are still here. The prey won. The only question is how. We know because of the bones. In a cave in South Africa, a small skull was lifted out of the rock. It belonged to a child, and punched into it were two clean, round holes. For a long time, nobody knew what made them. Then someone held that skull up to the lower jaw of a leopard. The two fangs slid straight into the two holes. A perfect fit. That child had been caught by the head and carried up into a tree, not in a fair fight, not by accident, the exact way a leopard still hauls a kill into the branches today. And the ground wasn't the only place you had to fear. There's another famous skull, a tiny ancestor, barely 3 years old. Around the eye sockets, punctures and deep scratches. They match the talons and beak of a huge bird of prey. Something dropped out of the sky, sank its claws into a toddler's face, and lifted it away. Look down, look up. You were on the menu everywhere, and the things that hunted you were nightmares. Picture a lion a quarter bigger than any lion alive today. Now give it company, a cat with teeth like curved knives, longer than your hand. It didn't chase you. It waited, still as a stone in the tall grass, close to the water, and then it exploded out and it was already over. Hyenas the size of a grown person, with jaws that cracked clean through bone to reach the marrow. They hunted in packs. They hunted in the dark. Exactly when your eyes turned nearly useless. In the cold north, wolves the size of a person ran in packs of 30. In other lands, bears so huge they could look a standing man in the eye. And on every new horizon, something new was waiting to eat you. Now look at what you had to survive all of it. You were slow. You were weak. Pound for pound, even a chimp can overpower you without trying. You couldn't see in the dark. You couldn't smell danger drifting in on the wind. You stood upright, which made you easy to spot from far off. And your babies couldn't walk for a year and cried out in a world that was always listening. On paper, you were the easiest large meal on the savannah. By every rule that decides which animals live and which die, you should have lost. You should have been wiped out and forgotten. But every last one of those monsters is extinct, and you're here. So what did you have that they didn't? It started with fire. Deep inside another cave there are ashes, burnt bone, scorched rock, left behind perhaps 1,000,000 years ago. At some point, one of your ancestors stopped running from fire and learned to keep it alive. And fire rewrote the rules of the night. A ring of firelight is a line most hunters won't cross. For the first time, the darkness had a wall around it. But the flames did something bigger than hold the cats back. They gave you time. Before fire, sunset meant one thing: freeze, hide, stay silent until morning. The night belonged to them completely. After fire, you had hours to shape sharper tools, hours to plan the next day, hours to sit close together and talk. And fire cooked your food. Cooked meat gives up more of its energy and asks less of your body to digest it. That spare energy fed a brain that was slowly, quietly getting bigger. Fire was quietly building the very thing that would save you. But notice what fire is not. It's a wall. It isn't a weapon. It keeps a hunter out. It can't bring one down. So how does the prey start fighting back? With a body that refuses to stop. In a flat sprint, you lose. Almost everything out there is faster than you. But speed isn't the only way to catch something, because you can do one thing almost nothing else on Earth can. You can keep going for hours. In the heat of the day, you can walk an animal to death. You follow it. It bolts. It stops to cool down. You catch up. It bolts again. But it can't sweat the way your bare skin can, so it overheats. And you don't. You just keep coming until it can't get back up. And you're still walking. No claws, no fangs, just patience and legs and sweat. It was the strangest way to hunt the world had ever seen. To hunt like that, you had to learn to read the ground. A bent blade of grass, a print pressed into the mud, dropping still warm. The land became a story you could follow. And you read the hunters the same way you read the hunted, where the big cats like to lie and wait. When the packs came out to feed. The creature that once ran from tracks in a panic had become the creature that followed them on purpose. But one human, alone, trailing a monster, is still just a meal. One of you was never going to be the answer. The real weapon was never in your hands at all. It was the people standing beside you. And we can dig up the proof. A skull, almost 2,000,000 years old. It belonged to someone who had lost every tooth in their head, years before they died. No teeth means you can't chew. Out in that world, that should be the end of you. But this person lived on, for years, which means someone else kept them alive, softening their food, maybe chewing it for them. A predator that loses its teeth dies alone in the grass. A human who loses their teeth gets cared for. And there are other skeletons that tell the same story. A man with a shriveled arm, blind in one eye, worn down by age. He couldn't hunt, he couldn't fight. He grew old anyway, because the people around him refused to let him go. That is the thing the monsters never had. You didn't just survive side by side. You took care of each other. In a world built to kill the weak, you kept your weak alive. And people who trust each other can do something dangerous. They can plan. So you stopped meeting predators by accident and started choosing the moment. One of you drives the animal forward. Others wait exactly where it's headed. Someone closes off the escape. You herd it toward a cliff or a swamp or a line of waiting spears. A single one of you could never face a mammoth. But 30 of you, moving as one mind, could. You had become a single animal made of many. And you run the whole thing out loud, with language. Then you added the final piece. Distance, a spear you could throw. There are wooden spears that still exist today, over 200,000 years old. Balanced, sharpened, made to kill from across a clearing. Now the prey could wound the hunter without ever stepping inside its reach. For the first time, the thing in the dark had something to fear too. 5 people, 1 plan, a handful of spears. Enough to bring down the thing that used to eat your children. And then, somewhere along the way, it flipped. Around 50,000 years ago, humans spilled out across the whole planet. New forests, new plains, new valleys, on every side of the world. And nearly everywhere you arrived, the giants began to vanish. The sabre-toothed cats, gone. The giant lions, gone. The great bears, the size of a small truck, gone. Often within a few thousand years of your footprints showing up. Hunters that had terrified your kind since before you were even human, wiped away almost the moment we arrived. The climate was shifting at the same time, and people still argue over how much was us and how much was the weather. It was likely both, closing in together, but the pattern is hard to look away from. And notice which way the fear was running now. On continent after continent, we appear, and soon after, the great hunters are simply not there anymore. The animal that used to hide up in the trees was now deciding which animals got to exist at all. In a few thousand years, the hunted had become the deadliest hunter the world had ever seen. So how did the prey become the most dangerous thing alive? Not with claws. You never grew any. You couldn't outrun them, so you outlasted them. You couldn't outbite them, so you surrounded them. You couldn't see in the dark, so you built your own light. You couldn't win alone, so you stopped being alone. Every predator out there was handed a single gift: speed, or size, or fangs, or venom. You were handed something far stranger. A leopard is born already knowing everything it will ever know. You were born knowing almost nothing. But you carried something no animal has ever had. Everything the people before you worked out, passed down, and added to, one life at a time. That's the real weapon. Not the fire, not the spear, not the endless legs. The fact that you never had to start from nothing. Every one of us begins with a head start 10,000 generations deep. It's why the dark can still send a shiver up your spine. But that's all it can do now. A shiver. You're not the meat anymore.